Uh, Good afternoon and welcome everyone, and welcome to our Mandala session. And very happy that we have achieved one more milestone. So we have like 25, 50, 100 and more to go. The beauty of it is this is a session which is run by the team. Thanks to Stephen for coordinating and doing all the work, and special thanks to all the audience. Like we get the request saying that we need this topic to be handled, so we will be doing things. Stephen, you can mute others. Yes, sir. Yeah. So the important or the core which is holding this session is the knowledge, and the knowledge that is disseminated from the speakers like Ashika, Jagadeesh, and our mentor Rajesh sir, tech team by Shilpa, Delhi Babu, Tarun at a different point in time. I only have the privilege. I come regularly. I do welcome and take some sessions, but the whole, the credit goes to the experts who speak. And today, at another session, we are going touching upon three important topics. One, the regular updates that happen, which everyone needs to know. More important part of the today's discussion is on the tribunal that is going to come up, how we should be geared up on the tribunal practice. And tech is one area which is very dear and near to me. We are going to see how we can become a proficient in Microsoft Excel, how the Power Queries can be used, how we can unleash the power of the Power Queries in handling the data. These are the aspects that we are going to deal today. And without wasting much time, I request Rajesh sir to introduce the session for the technical session for the day. Rajesh sir, over to you.
Uh, Good evening, everyone. I think I have to first congratulate the team for achieving this milestone of 100th this webinar session. And this is the sort of a commitment which is there, which is shown and it is established that we are there for the interested participants uh, to get to know newer things, whatever the updates which are coming in. And we would see that this particular effort continues from our side. So that is what is the overall perspective which this particular programs are being done. As far as today's topic is concerned, I think it is divided into four parts. Firstly, the one which is pertaining to the budget changes under the GST perspective. Second, the aspects relating to appeals in the GST. And the third, the practical way how to look into the website to see where the notices will be appearing, or how to make a reply online, or how to file a appeal, the first appeal online. We thought even we can try to attempt to cover the filing of a appeal to GST tribunal online. We can demonstrate, but practically we find a lot of hiccups still there. They are trying to resolve that. So probably in the near future, maybe a next session or so, we will include or incorporate a specific and a special session for explaining or demonstrating how we can file appeal online in the GST tribunal portal. So I think that is going to be another session, but that we are not going to cover. And the fourth part is going to be a technology, which is always our Venu's favorite. And definitely, I hope each one of you who are participating here would get the benefit of this particular session. I think before I hand over the proceedings to Jagdish for the first part, and the second part, Ashika, and third part again back to Jagdish. Intermittently, I will be pitching in wherever I would like to give a little different perspective, including the practical side of it. Let's understand this changes in the finance bill is not actually the changes, unlike earlier erstwhile central excise and service tax changes, because all the changes which has to come in the GST law has to be first essentially approved in the GST Council and in the council meeting. So all these changes is not a surprise or coming for the first time. It had already been discussed as a part of the council meeting changes. Only in this finance bill which came in, certain aspects which require the statutory amendment has to come through a respective state legislature or the central legislature. So to that extent is only covered in the finance bill for amending the CGST Act and IGST Act. The corresponding SGST Act has to still be passed through the respective state legislature. After having done all this exercise, there's going to be a one notification which is going to come, notifying the date from which the Finance Act will become, I mean, the amendment will get effective. Having said that, the effective date will be through a notification, but many of the amendments may say it is effective retrospectively. Though the act will be enacted today, assume that notification is today, but when it says it is effective from the date from the July 17 or something, then it goes back to that date. And also sometimes some amendments may be of a clarificatory in nature. So though in such cases, though the amendment is made today and in the act, subsequently the notification comes on and say that amendment will be effective from so and so date. But still, the effect of that particular amendment can be considered as retrospective if that particular amendment is of a clarificatory in nature. I think probably in the course of deliberation, Jagdish may touch upon one such amendment which is there in this particular act. I think let's move on with the learning process. I think over to you, Jagdish.
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Let me share my screen. Yes. Hope my screen is visible to you all. Yes. Yeah. So first of all, I would like to thank you all for joining us for today's session. And the agenda of today's session starts with first we'll discuss about the GST proposal from the Union Budget 2026, and then we'll see the impact of these changes on the taxpayers. And after the budget discussions, we'll move on to the legal part. We'll discuss on the GST appeal filing and procedures. And at the end, we will also take you through the practical demo of filing appeals in the GST portal. So let's move on to the first segment. GST proposals from the Finance Bill 2026 starts with the post supply discount, which is the most litigated issues from the implementation of the GST. So before going into the amendment, first we'll understand the existing legal position with respect to the post sale discounts. So post sale discount can be excluded from the value of the supply subject to satisfaction of two conditions. Now we'll see what are those conditions. The condition number one is that the discount has to be established in terms of the agreement entered into on or before the supply. That means at the time of supply, the terms of discount should be established. That should be known on or before at the time of the supply. Okay. And the second condition is that recipient has to reverse the input tax credit in relation to the attributable to the discount. So unless these two conditions satisfied, from the value of the supply, you cannot deduct the discount. So obviously, this restriction of establishing the discount terms in the agreement of supply, this created a significant challenge. Okay, for many industries, particularly industries like FMCG, automobile, and pharma, and all electronic items, they will offer the various types of incentives or discounts like year-end discounts, performance-based incentive, turnover discount, volume-based incentive. Like they will offer different types of discounts and offers, but all of these are not predetermined. Uh, Predetermined discount. That means at the time of supply, this will not be, the terms of this discount will not be determined. So because of this, at the time of audit and investigation, department always frequently challenge the discount. They deny the deduction of the discount from the value of the supply. So this is the problem faced by all the traders since from the implementation of GST. So now the budget this has proposed to remove the restriction of establishing the discount terms at the time of the supply. So now even if there is no discount terms at the time of the supply, you can reduce the discount value from the value of the supply. This is the welcome move. So earlier, now we'll see the current position and the amend provision. Now post supply discount deductible only if established in the pre-supply agreement, unless it is part of your supply, the terms of the discount. In that case, you are not allowed to reduce that discount from the value of the supply. Okay, so now that restriction is now removed. So if you see the new section 15(3)(b), value shall not include discount given after supply if trade note issued under section 34 and the ITC reversed by recipient. So now you can reduce the discount on the value of the supply, though the terms of the discount is not existed at the time of the supply. So now with this change, you can offer the discount even after the supply, because most of these discounts or incentives, they will decided based on the performance during the year. So department always litigate this discount. They are not allowing to reduce the discount during audits and investigation. There are many litigations pending before at various levels of litigation. So now with this change, by removal of that restriction, businesses now can deduct the value of post-supply discounts, even if the terms were finalized after the supply. Okay, so and also this is the section 15(3)(b). Now coming to the section 34. Now you can reduce the value of the supply by issuing the credit note. Now we'll see what the change in the section 34. So to ensure the consistency between valuation provisions and the credit note provision, they have proposed the change in the section 34. So what section 34 means? Section 34 deals with issuing of the credit note. Under section 34, only in certain situations you can issue the credit note. Now we'll see what are all those situations. If you the taxable value or the tax had charged wrongly, or in case if goods were returned, or in case the services you have provided, if there is any deficiency, only in these situations you can issue the credit note. Otherwise, you cannot issue the credit note. So now to this list, now they have added 15(3)(b) supplies also. That means if any discount issued by way of section 15(3)(b), that is post supply discount, even in that case also, now you are allowed to issue the credit note. So now both section 15 and section 34 are operate in harmonious by reducing the ambiguity. So after amendment, now section 34 now allows credit note for all post supply discounts, irrespective of whether the terms were established at the time of supply or under a prior agreement. That means even if there is no prior agreement, above the discount. Even in that case, you are allowed to issue the credit note. Thereby, you can reduce your output tax liability by issuing the credit note. Okay, hope it is clear to you. So now you can adjust your output tax liability by issuing the credit note for the post-sale discount. But unless earlier, if there are, you have to establish the terms of the discount that should be existed at the time of supply. Unless if that is, you cannot establish the terms of the discount at the time of supply, you are not allowed to reduce your output tax liability, and you are also not allowed to issue the credit note. Okay, this is the welcome move, and also the from now onwards, the prospective amendment. From now onwards, we can expect the litigation with respect to the post-sale discount will get reduced, will come to an end. And now coming to the second part, refund related.
Sorry,
Yes.
can you
Yes.
just go back to the previous slide? Yeah, BA. So now a perspective can be made that the litigation will reduce, or it could be another perspective that come on that the litigation may increase also. There are still situations where the department would say the circular is circular, and this is a circular that came now. Now, Rajesh sir initially mentioned, will this have a retrospective effect? Or because these are the some things that happened in the past too. It is still not certain and not clear, where they have not given the context in which this can be applied. Though 15.3 is about a discount, 15 subsection 2, which talks about addition to the transaction value. I am not saying that I would want to complicate the subject, but I want people to be aware that there is another perspective department could bring on and say. And here comes the important way that how you document your transaction. I'll give you one classic example, and which generally happens in the year end or near expiry goods. Let's say a brand is get changed. In this classically happens even the cars. No, when you want to buy a car, you would, rather than picking in 31st December, you would want to pick in January, so that it's a new year model, and when you are reselling it, you know that it's getting a new value. If all the dealers are going to send back those cars to their manufacturer, the manufacturer is going to have a bigger problem. He will say, okay, you offer 1 lakh discount to the customer. Now, why will the dealer will do that? Dealer will say that is going to become impact to me. Then the customer is getting a intimation in the paper saying that, okay, 1 lakh discount. Now, dealer has to honor that. Now, dealer is going back to the distributor, super stockist, or manufacturer and saying that, look, it is your promise to give 1 lakh rupees. As far as I am concerned, I am going to sell this car, let's say 25 lakhs. But you said 1 lakh discount, okay, I am giving 24 lakhs. To the customer, it is 24 lakhs. You pay me back 1 lakh. Now, when the manufacturer is paying that 1 lakh back, from the GST perspective, and these litigations are there from the CAT matters, where Rajesh sir can also throw some light on the valuation in the excise, where the department would come and say that, okay, look, even though the manufacturer has given a credit note, I would want to treat this as the value of the supply. So bringing a fine distinction of the value of supply versus reduction in the purchase price is going to be an issue that is going to be there. So you got to handle the dispute litigation part of it is going to be there, is my view. Anything Rajesh sir or Jagadeesh you want to add? Ashika, maybe if you want to add something.
I think I'll just not confuse too much to the audience. Okay, I'll put it very simply. First of all, there is a value for a transaction at the time of supply, say a sales. 10 lakh rupees, 10,000 rupees, 100 rupees, whatever it is. Okay. The discount, so 15.3 talks about a discount. Discount is either you give it in an invoice, no doubt, I mean, no issues, that will be excluded from the valuation. So there's no issue, no changes, nothing. The second part came in. Now, sometimes business requires to give a discount after the sales have happened. Like, year-end discount, target-based discount, quantitative discounts. So many such nature was there. So when the law was being made, they thought, I think we need to facilitate this also. But they said, okay, it should not be a scenario where for the purpose of avoiding the taxes, somebody will come out and say discount given. So they added some conditions. Condition number one, that it should be known at the time of supply. Only the discount is known, but the quantification can happen later. So they put in a various things to safeguard the interest of revenue, that the post-sale discount should be given excluded from the value. Then you can do whatever the adjustments. Again, why is this required? See, this particular things is only a valuation section which we are reading till now. There's another flip side of, back side of it, like a coin. Section 34, which talks about a issue of credit note. There, if somebody issues a GST credit note, the taxes already originally paid can be adjusted for the subsequent payment, because that's like a refund, technically. So now this 34 has a, when all you can issue a credit notes. One is a scenario where the value which was there, which is there already in the invoice, is reduced. 2, tax is reduced. 3, goods are returned. 4, there's a deficiency in the supply of goods or service. Unless these 4 conditions are fulfilled, there cannot be a credit note under 34, reducing the value which is already paid. And also there comes with the condition that if you issue a credit note, you can issue, no problem. But to adjust the tax already paid, the other fellow should reverse the ITC. So this is something which is there. Now, having explained you this gamut of these changes, now this was made to ease out that particular condition, because in the audit we were always facing a difficulty by saying, just a minute. Sorry. So that is where the issues which was coming up, the audit, they say produce agreement, I don't agree this particular condition. So they not relax this particular thing. Also, there's no mechanism for reversal of ITC. So all these things is what was a cause for this amendment. Now, leaving this apart, the Venu came out with the proposition post-sale discount. It's a different subject altogether. Discount vis-a-vis compensation. What is the difference? Discount, I give discount for whatever reason. I am not concerned with what you do later with it. Whereas compensation is a scenario where, like Venu was explaining, you give a discount on the stocks held on particular day. I am going to reimburse it, is a compensation. So in the valuation section, whether I receive a consideration from X person or Y person, it is to be added to the value of the supply. So what Venu was trying to explain was that, where it said, if the company says on so and so date, so much stock is held, I give you 10% of the value of that stock, straight away I give, irrespective of whether you subsequently pass on, it's your headache. I say you pass on. But if I say, you give me one-to-one correlation, you give a proof of having passed on, then I will give you, then it becomes a compensation. Then there's a possibility of that getting added. And how you are going to account? They're going to account it as a discount or as a pass on, you are going to show it, is something which you need to look at it account. Again, this 34 read with 15 is something which you need to be aware whether it is a discount or are you going to account this as an income on the revenue side. I think that is what you need to be cautious about. Okay. I think over to you, Jagdish, for the next.
Yes, sir. So now coming on to the next changes. This is with respect to the refund of tax. Earlier, now coming to the provisional refund. So section 54, subsection 6, read with rule 91, it allows the provisional sanction of provisional refund within 7 days from the date of acknowledgement. But this provisional refund is applied only to the zero rated supplies. That is export, if we claim refund under export without payment of tax, in that case, you will get a provisional refund, 90% of provisional refund within 7 days from the date of acknowledgement. So now this benefit is extended to refund claim under inverted duty structure also. So now with this change, even the taxpayers who claim refund under inverted duty structure will get the 90% of the provisional refund within 7 days from the date of acknowledgement. This will increase their cash flows. So, and the next change proposed is low value tax. Earlier, there is a restriction. If your refund claim is less than 1000, in that case, your refund will not get processed because of some administrative issues or cost issues. There is restriction if your refund claim is less than 1000. But now for export, for refund claim under export with payment of tax, in that case, you can, that restriction is not there. That is threshold barrier 1000 is removed now. So the taxpayers who are claiming refund under with payment of tax category of refund, now even their refund claim is less than 1000, they will get the refund, because many exporters, small exporters, like they will export through courier or e-commerce, they are not getting refund. Their export value is less and their claim of refund is less. So because of this restriction, they used to face the they're not getting the refund. So now the small exporters who is exporting through courier or e-commerce operators, now they can also the refund without any value cap. So this is also a welcome move for the small exporters. And now coming to the tribunal as an international appellate authority. What is this? We'll now see what's this change here. If there is any conflict of advance ruling by appellate authorities of two or more states, then they that should go to the National Appellate Authority for advance ruling. But till date, that National Appellate Authority for advance ruling has not yet been constituted. So to address this gap, they have introduced new section called section 101A, subsection 1A. So now till the NAR get constituted, until then GST Appellate Tribunal will act as an NAR. National Appellate Authority for Advance Ruling. This is only for the interim basis, not for the full-time basis. In many states, GST Appellate Tribunal has got constituted. In some state, both technical members were appointed. Recently, we have seen one order from the GST 80 also. So that's the reason now, till the National Appellate Authority for Advanced Ruling has been constituted, till that time, GST Appellate Tribunal will serve as an appellate authority for advanced ruling. And now, moving on to the next important issue, intermediary place of supply with respect to the intermediary services. So this is one more most litigated issue. This issue was facing by many of the intermediaries since from the service tax regime. Before going on to the issue, the budget proposal, first we'll understand who is an intermediary. Intermediary means a broker, an agent, or any other person who arranges or facilitates the supply of goods or services or both between two or more persons. That means any person who is acting as a middleman, called an intermediary. this intermediary definition specifically excludes the person who supplies goods or services on his own account. So why this differentiation? This distinction is very important, because if any person is considered as an intermediary, in that case, the place of supply will differ. Uh, now we'll see the place of supply, and then we'll go back to the intermediary service. How? So section 13 deals with the cross-border transaction. That means if the supplier or recipient is outside India, then place of supply for those transactions will be determined by the section 13. Okay. So by default, uh, in general, the place of supply is the recipient place will be the place of supply in general rule. But section 13.8 provides exception for this general rule. Okay. So what section 13.8 is providing? If the place of supply, what are all place of supply for these three services A, B, C in 13.8b. In this case, the place of supply will be the supply place will be the place of supply. Okay. So in 13.8 B, intermediary services included in 13.8b. That means in case of intermediary services, the place of supply shall be the supplier place. Whereas in general, the place of supply is recipient place, but 13.8 is providing the exception for the general rule. Okay. Because of this, 13.8, many intermediary services are not satisfying the export of service condition. We'll see. This is the export of service condition. If let's take a small example. If I am an Indian service provider, if I am providing any service to the foreign entity, I mean, let's say I'm an uh, uh, buying agent in India. I am finding the buyer in India to the foreign seller. So I'm acting as a middleman between the buyer and seller. So here I am an intermediary. Because I am considering as an intermediary, though I am providing the service to the foreign nation, and also though I am receiving the currency in the foreign currency, because I am an intermediary, my place of supply is considered as then India. Because of this condition, the intermediary, I am considered my services are not being treated as an exporter service, because the place of supply is in India. Otherwise, if my place of supply is outside India, then my services will be considered as an exporter service. In that case, I can supply services as a zero rated supply. Um, and just a second. So because of this, my services are classifying as an intermediary. My services are not fit under exporter services. So to so now what the budget proposal has said that now intermediary services section 13.8b has been now removed. So by removal of this, my services are now classifying under general rule, that is recipient place. So now I am providing services to the foreign national. He is sitting outside India. In that case, my place of supply will be outside India as per the general rule of section 13. So though I am acting as a middleman, I am providing an intermediary services linking buyer and the seller. Even that case, my services are being classified as an export of service, and I can enjoy the benefit of zero rated supply. That is, I can export without payment of tax, and I can also go for the refund on the accumulated ITC if I make any export or service without by opting without payment of the tax. So this is the change they have proposed under section 13.8b of IGST Act. Sir, would you like to add anything here, sir?
I think this intermediary is a concept, nothing new in the GST. It was a concept carried forward from the service tax regime. Lot of water has already flown in this in the litigation side. The courts, the Bombay court, they gave us a difference of opinion. The constitutionality of this particular section itself was challenged. Then it was held that no, I think constitution is valid. Then they brought out with the technicality aspect of it, whether it can be subject matter of IGST at all, the places of place. All those issues were there. So there was a lot of representation which was made to the government, and they said, remove this concept. Internationally, everybody treating these services is based on the recipient based. Only in India, this particular concept of the intermediary is based on the location of the supplier. So it's unnecessarily being taxed. For example, export, accounting purpose is the export of service. For the GST purpose, it is not export of service because it's the intermediary service. And it gave a lot of handle to the audit team to unnecessarily rake up this issue. Any team which is even providing a marketing support service, as they're saying, is the intermediary. So this intermediary was being interpreted very widely. Can you just go one slide before the definition? Jagdish, it's not changed. If you see, it says who arranges or facilitates. The word facilitates is very, very wider connotation. So always they used to say, you are facilitating the supply. So indirectly, directly is not there. So all those confusion were existing. So this representation went and they have made a changes. But the point is whether this amendment is prospective or retrospective. I think that is one of the debates which are going on. Hopefully, I mean, from the government perspective, they are clear that it is prospective. But again, this changes is still not affected until the enactment happens. And after enactment, the notification issued saying that it will be effective from particular date. Till that time, this old concept is running. We cannot adopt this new concept because I have seen many of them have already started. Oh, now that intermediary is an export, so no need to worry, and they have stopped charging overall charging earlier. So I think they need to be very cautious. This is not effective. The effective date has to be tracked. Point number one. Point number two, there's also a converse to it. That means I am receiving a service from an intermediary located outside India. Hitherto, I was saying that it is not liable to RCM and I was not paying tax. But with this amendment comes, those expenditure will be liable for RCM. So wherever such stand is there, I think they need to relook at those transactions and go for payment of tax under the intermediary. I think this is from my side.
Yes,
you can proceed.
Exactly. In case of vice versa transaction, in my example, I said buying agent located in India, whereas the same buying agent located outside India. If I am receiving any services from him, earlier, I mean, this amendment has not yet enacted. If my buying agent is located outside India, I am receiving the services here in India. In that case, now post this change amendment, it will become the import of service because I am receiving place of supply will be the recipient place. I am receiving services from buying agent. Earlier, I no need to pay the tax under reversal for the import of service by considering the place of supply is outside India. But now with the amendment, you have to pay the tax under reversal post amendment, considering it as an import of service. Okay, hope it is clear to you. You have to look the both the forward transaction, vice versa transaction. So this is all about the budget changes. There are no much changes, only two major changes. One with respect to the post sale discount and another with respect to intermediary services. So now over to Ashika ma'am.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Now, I will be taking you towards GST appellate mechanism and procedure. Now, as in any tax system, dispute between taxpayer and tax authority are common. To ensure the fairness and legal protection, GST provides a structured appellate framework where taxpayer can challenge the decision of the tax authority. So, in this session, we'll be exploring the hierarchy of appeals, procedure for filing them, and the timelines involved. So, let us begin our session for GST appellate mechanism and procedure. In this First, let us understand the various remedies which are available against the order. So as we are discussing about the appeal, so I am starting here my discussion with the issuance of order. I hope my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, visible.
Okay.
No, now it went off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the moment we receive an order, now the question which arises, what are the remedies available? We keep hearing the word appeal, appeals, but apart from appeal, I don't know, have you heard this other three words which are review, rectification, and revision? So once an order is passed, it's not just an appeal, other three can also come into picture. Now, appeal, as we are saying, is a manner in which we can challenge the order passed by the officer or by the tax authority. So, whenever they pass an order, either I can go for filing an appeal, or where we feel that there is no merit in the case involved, we can pay the taxes and close the issue. So, it's a decision which need to be taken. Under GST, we have been provided a two-stage level appeal. First one is where we file first appeal before appellate authority, which is filed against the adjudication order, means which is the first order which is received under GST. After the appeal filed before the appellate authority, we get appeal order, and against that appeal order we file an appeal before the tribunal. So this is how the stage under GST for filing the appeals run. Then another options which are there is review. Now what is this review? Here the department has also the power to file the appeal. So the commissioner, based on the order passed, if he feels that there is a challenge in the, or there is a, it is prejudicial to the interest of the revenue, then the commissioner itself can ask his subordinate officer to file an appeal against the order. As you are aware, appeal is not only the right of the taxpayer, but it is also in the hand of the department to go to file an appeal against the order. So here the commissioner will review the order passed by the authority, and if it feels that there is a challenge to to the legality or propriety of the order, then he can ask the officer to file an appeal. Then comes the revisions. Now, in revision, here the commissioner itself also verify the order pass and check whether it is against the interest of the revenue or not. If it is not against the interest of the revenue, then here in the revision, it's not filing of appeal. It is where officer itself who has taken the charge of revision will go and verify the order, and if it feels order is not up to the mark, demand need to be increased, then they will call upon the taxpayer, means basically they will give you one opportunity before passing any order which is against you. So here if you will see, review and revision are the powers with the department against the order which has been passed. And basically, this review and revision power will be exercised by the officer where the cases has been decided in favor of the SSC. Now, coming to the left hand side of it, like appeal we discussed, another thing which is available to the taxpayer is rectification. Rectification, it's not that it is only available to taxpayer, even it can be picked by the department. Now, rectification can be done only for the mistake which is apparent on record. So, it's not that for everything or anything rectification can be done. It is only can be done which is prima facie visible to the eye. Like just for example, like calculation error. Like it totaling is coming to 1 lakh, officer has written as 10 lakh. Then there are typo error also, it happened while passing the order. So while writing the operating part, they are writing something, and when they are concluding, they have written wrongly. So on that basis also rectification happened. Another rectification which happened is, suppose you have filed a reply where you have furnished all the documents, all the supporting document. However, officer missed to consider it. Then also you can file the rectification where asking them to consider the reply and then pass the rectified order. Then there are cases where it has been noticed that the detail order, means main order, which is passed does not match with summary order, that is DRC07. Now, you would have noticed a cases where what happened, sometime we make the payment of the liability. We made the payment of the tax liability, but those payments are made under protest. Means you are not accepting the liability, but it may be a case you might have paid under pressure at the time of investigation or audit, or it may be a case you might have paid it by thinking that in case in future if this demand get confirmed, I will be able to reduce my interest burden and I can fight for my penalty much better. So where the demand has been paid, it has been noticed in detailed order. They are saying that I am appropriating the amount of tax already paid, and the DRC 07 which is issued, it is issued with tax liability as nil, but interest and penalty amount is there, it is quantified. But DRC 07 tax has been shown zero. Now, as you are going to challenge the whole order, including the tax demand. The only thing you made the payment under protest, you are not accepting it, you are still fighting the main demand. Then, in this cases also, we have to file a rectification for DRC 07 because it is passed with zero tax liability. Now, why I am saying we have to make this type of rectification is because of the pre deposit. Now, if you see, as per law, we are required at first appeal level 10% of the tax amount disputed. I need to make the pre deposit. Now, recently they have done the amendment even for penalty. The cases where tax is not in dispute but penalty is in dispute, then I have to do 10% of the penalty as a pre deposit. Now, in these cases where I have paid the tax under protest, what is happening is that based on DRC 07, portal is updating the data for filing the appeal. So there they are, as tax is zero, so penalty 10% they are calculating and asking you to make the pre-deposit based on penalty. So if we don't file the rectification for DRC 07, we would be ending with the 10% pre-deposit on the penalty amount, even though we are fighting on the tax part. So in those situations also rectification comes. So whenever an order comes, now as an SSC, I have a two option. I can go for appeal or I have to check for rectification. But rectification has a very limited applicability. So you have to see what it relates to. Another classic example, if we can take for rectification, is there are cases where the people have paid tax and interest, only penalty they didn't pay. Because under section 73, we have an option that if we paid the tax and interest before issuance of show cause notice or after issuance of show cause notice, but within 30 days, then penalty is not livable. Now, we have seen the cases where the order has been passed without considering, even though in reply it is mentioned, but they have passed the order confirming the penalty. In those cases also, you can go file the rectification. And means I am saying for my personal experience where the rectification actually happened. So when we filed the rectification, officer considered that payment has been made within 30 days, So therefore, he has passed a rectified order in DRC 08 and has dropped the demand of the penalty. Anyhow, as an SSC, if we are not falling on the rectification part and we are fighting for the main case and merit, the remedy which is available as an SSC is an appeal. And when it seems from the department side, they have an option also to file an appeal against the order pass, plus they can also go for the revision. So before I go into the appeal part and all, is the first thing I want you to brief is what are the remedies available? Because when any order is passed in favor, we should not get relaxed. Even though order passed in favor, if it is not passed properly, when I say not passed properly, I mean speaking order. If a order does not speak properly, why the demand is been dropped or confirmed, then obviously it can be subjected to review or revision. Wherever the demand has been dropped without proper speaking, there is a high chance that it can be subjected to department appeal or revision. Therefore, even after the cases where SSC has got in favor, there still lies a doubt or that case is still not closed because under department appeal has 6 month time limit. Department can go for appeal within 6 months and revision has 3 years time limit. So till those times are closed, still there is a situation that case can be reopened. So what I'm just trying to say, just because we get a favorable order, we should not start enjoying. But we need to be careful that orders are drafted properly.
Okay. I think it was rightly put. Here, the remedies mentioned above is not only from the taxpayer's perspective, it is also from the department perspective. So, which means that if the department feels that the order is not okay, they can also file appeal. Review is nothing but a departmental appeal. Rectification, even in some findings is contrary and been given a relief, they can rectify it if it is brought to the knowledge by the counterpart or their officer or their own suo motu. Revision is obviously a departmental tool to reopen a cases. In fact, we have experienced many of the orders which is passed by the state authorities where relief is given. They will simply extract what was the issue, 2-3 pages. They will copy paste the reply what you have filed, and then comes one sentence. I agree with the submissions, and hence drop. Or the explanation is satisfactory, hence demand dropped. I think these type of one sentence confirmation without discussing a reasoning for such conclusion is called non-speaking orders. Non-speaking orders are legally not sustainable for a long. So it's always open for the departmental officer, I mean, the hierarchical mechanism to take up such order as unreasoned order. Actually, there is something wrong in it and it can get reopened either in department appeal where the time limit is shorter, but obviously the revision is where they can always pitch in and try to reopen. So as was rightly being pointed by Ashika, I think we would have felt that okay, no, order closed, assessment closed. I think generally they don't use the word order. Assessment for this year is closed, is what is said. But later on, that can still be taken up in revision. So there technically you have to be very clear what is the scope of it, whether it is valid, invalid. In fact, department instead of Karnataka, they are revising the appellate orders also, which is, in my opinion, is legally invalid. So I think all these are there. But appeal is something where it is a long drawn process of litigation. So be cautious about it and when to take, how to take it, and when not to relax it. You can proceed, Ashika.
Now, let us understand the appellate structure. So, as we discussed, the first appeal procedure start once the order is issued. So, normally, what the process we have seen is we can divide our means if we divide the litigation process, there are three buckets it can be. Like one is pre-adjudication, which is the case of assessment, audit, investigation. Then comes your adjudication stage. Adjudication stage is the stage which is started once the show cause notice is issued. So at pre-adjudication, they decide what is non-compliance, what liability they have find out. Based on that, they issue the show cause notice. We submit the reply. Based on our reply, they do the adjudication proceeding and issue us the adjudication order. After issuance of adjudication order is what the third stage starts, which is we call appeal stage. So once the adjudication order has been passed, then I have, as I already told, there are two stages of appeal under GST. One is I can file an appeal to appellate authority. And even if appellate authority does not agree with my grounds of appeal and pass an order against me, I can file an appeal before appellate tribunal. Even if appellate tribunal does not agree with the submission, then I can go to High Court. And then comes the Supreme Court. But High Court and Supreme Court cannot be involved just like we do the appeal filing for appellate authority or appellate tribunal. Because here, in first stage of appeal or second stage of appeal, it doesn't matter whether the question involved is of law or question involved is of fact. Both I can carry to appellate authority and appellate tribunal. But when it comes to High Court and Supreme Court, filing of appeal is not easy as it appear in case of appeal tribunal and appellate authority. Because High Court, though it enjoy dual power, means where he enjoy the power of appeal officer also and he enjoy the power of writ. So they have both the things, but appeal cannot be filed until and unless it involves question of law. So Supreme Court and High Court, I can go only when it's involved question of law, and I cannot go for question of facts there. One. Second, then when there is a principle of natural justice, fundamental rights, and when there is a ultra virus of acts, rules. So on those cases, I can go to High Court and Supreme Court, but not each and every time like a regular appeal, I can't approach them. For every stage, it has its own timeline, has its own procedure under GST to do it. So, with this, sir, you want to add something, or I should move forward?
I think you covered all the points per se. There's one change in this. Probably, I think Ashika is going to discuss that. This hierarchy chart is concerned. There's going to be one jump from tribunal to directly to Supreme Court if the issue involved is a place of supply. So where the tribunal again has got a state benches and the principal bench. If the orders of a principal bench directly goes to Supreme Court, it doesn't go through High Court. However, this is an appellate mechanism, rather a civil appeal or a statutory appeal, we say. On the contrary, a writ jurisdiction is where in any of these stages, there's a process which is not followed properly as per the law or the fundamental right is violated. Then we generally take that particular person directly to the High Court in writ petition. So you cannot question the factual aspect in the writ. What can be questioned in the writ is the violation of certain principles or the methodology in which it is done is not correct, or there's a violation of fundamental rights. So in such scenarios, we generally take it to the courts, especially the High Court. The writ jurisdiction before the High Court is having a wider scope and connotation rather than Supreme Court. Supreme Court, we generally go with where it is a national level importance of the. So generally, all the writs are filed before the High Court per se. I think that is what we need to keep in mind. So the structure is, yes, appellate authority, adjudication, appellate. There's the first appellate, then the tribunal. From tribunal, it takes two routes. One, principal bench, then to Supreme Court, or state bench, then High Court, then Supreme Court. I think obviously the courts, the final fact-finding authority is the tribunal. What the courts will not get into identifying and verifying the documents to ascertain facts. They are going to only decide the question of law. So that we need to be very, very clear how to frame a question of law if somebody is willing to go for that. Yeah.
Now, you would be hearing every time we are using the word appeal, appeal. But what does this appeal means? Under GST, appeal is not defined. But if we see, what we are doing is we are challenging the decision of the tax authority here under GST. So here we are challenging the decision of the tax authority. We are asking higher authority to examine the decision of the lower authority in light of the case involved, in light of the facts we are submitting. So basically, we are making one application either to set aside the order, or we are making an application either to change it or reverse it, because it's not a case that it will be 100% get dropped. It can be a reduction in the value also. So this is what we are doing under GST while filing an appeal. Now, what is this appeal? Now, is it my right to file an appeal, or is it a absolute right, or is a statutory right? Means, if a law does not provide us, can we go for and file an appeal? Answer is no. It is a statutory right, means until and unless it is specified under the act, I can't go and file an appeal against any decision or the order. And that's the reason under GST Act, there are specific sections which deals with the filing of appeal before appellate authority, tribunal, high court, Supreme Court. Because if you will see, one of the scenario is your advanced ruling authority. Over there, I can file an appeal before the National Advanced Ruling Authority, Appellate Advanced Ruling Authority. After filing to Appellate Advanced Ruling Authority, there was no further mechanism to file the appeal. Now, recently, they have introduced through budget that I can go before the principal bench of tribunal to file the appeal. But prior to that, against the advanced ruling appeal order, there was no mechanism to file the appeal. So this right of appeal should come from the act itself. Otherwise, we can't file the appeal. Now, if you will see under the law, even it has been specified the cases when you can't file an appeal also, even though it is an order. So specific 4 cases are covered. One is of transfer of proceeding, means transfer of proceeding from one officer to another. If any order has been passed again and you want that earlier officer to do your case, you can't do anything against it. When there is a seizure or retention of books of account or document, in those seizure order or retention order also, you can't file any appeal. Where there has been a prosecution sanction against you, then also you can't. Now, order under section 80 is where under GST, officer has been provided a power where they can allow me to make the payment of taxes in installment. Now, if you are not able to fulfill the installment, or if you feel the installment amount which is given by the officer is unreasonable, we can't go and file any appeal against that order. So in this four circumstance, filing of appeal is specifically barred. So that's the reason we were discussing that appeal is not, you can't think it like your fundamental right. It is a right which should come from the. Now let us understand what will be the effect of filing of appeal or non-filing of appeal against the order issue. So if I don't file an appeal against the order issue, then that order will become final. Because under GST, the good thing is everything has a designated procedure, time limit to do the work. So if you don't exercise your power in accordance with the timeline and procedure prescribed, then order itself will become final. And the moment the order becomes final, then officer can take a recovery action. So that's why we also need to be active. We can't be sleeping on our rights. We need to be also active, see what is going on GST portal, what notices order has been passed, so that active action can be taken. Now, as I discussed, there is a time limit, but in the law, they have also provided a time limit for condonation, means they have provided extended time limit to file the appeal. But even after the extended time limit, you don't file the appeal, then also order will become final and you have to face the consequences. Another thing, while after filing the appeal, if we file an appeal against the order, we should not feel that, okay, as I file the appeal, I am disputing, now demand is zero. That is not the case. Order is still a confirmed demand. Filing of appeal just give you some time so that recovery action is not initiated by the officer. It give you a time that you are fighting the case which will be decided again. Until and unless it is decided, means until and unless judgment is passed by the authority against whom you have filed the appeal, before whom you have filed the appeal, the order against which you have filed the appeal will be considered as the final order until and unless it is either reversed or set aside. An order pass, if its order is passed without jurisdiction, it is not a valid order. And if your matter has been remanded back, now you would have seen there, means not seen as of now, because appellate authority does not has a power to remand back the order. So as of now, second appeal, only appeal filing is going on. For first appeal, wherever you would have seen, none of the cases appellate authority would have remanded the case, they would have decided themselves. But it's just one scenario which will come in appellate tribunal case where the matter has been remanded back. Now, what does remanded back means? What happened? Even though appellate authority is appellate tribunal is a final fact finding authority, but you can't expect tribunal to be sitting on your documents and verifying all your transaction. So what they do, they pass with the direction or with the decision that what they want the person who has passed the main order, adjudication order, to do. So they can say that you verify, like if you presented your case where you have shown that your refund is not falling under the time period, sorry, it is within the time period, and the tribunal also agreed that it is within the timeline. So normally what tribunal will do, as they will say that this refund application has been filed within the time period, so therefore they will direct the adjudicating officer to re-verify the refund, because they have to verify the ITC eligibility, na? Because they would have passed the order just based on one issue saying that as it is time barred, I am rejecting. So they would not have verified other things, whether that for export, whether FIRC is there or not, if it is a service, if it's related to ITC part, whether the ITC for which they are filing in Annexure B are eligible ITC or not. So where their tribunal will basically remand back the case saying that suppose it is not a time barred case, but will ask to verify that the refund is correctly filed or not. So then when it is remanded back, officer will not be commenting anything on time barred. They have to sanction my refund based on verification that they have verified export is in compliance. Annexure B, which is submitted, all ITC they might consider, they may disallow the ITC. It's not that they have to allow me 100%, because it need to be checked the on what basis tribunal has remanded the case. So basically, just want to explain you what is remand back. So this power is only with appellate tribunal. Appellate authority does not have. So in case of remand back, if it happened, then or adjudication order is not final until and unless another order after remand back, again a new order need to be issued that will be deciding what is eligible and not eligible. Where an appellate order has been passed, then the adjudication order will get merged with appeal order. This will arise when you have filed an appeal, it has been heard, then appellate order will be passing a speaking order, which will be basically merging the adjudicating order with itself. Now, another thing is when we see that we heard that there is an appeal, there is a writ. When we were discussing about appeal structure also, you heard the word writ. Now the question which arises, when will the appeal will come, when we should go for writ? As till the time appellate tribunal was not formed, many writs were filed before the High Court. And normally what we see in that, ki High Court generally don't entertain the writ if there are alternate remedy available under the law. What we mean by saying alternate remedy, like if I go directly against a show cause notice writ, if I file a writ directly against the show cause notice, High Court may say us that as you have whole adjudication proceeding, appeal proceeding pending, why you are coming to me? Go and explain to your GST officer about why liability not there, or what is the question of law or facts involved. So generally, High Court don't entertain until and unless there are other mechanism under GST available. Like if it is a show cause, you have adjudication. After order, you have first appeal. After first appeal order, you have second GST appeal. So generally, they don't do. But just because alternate remedy is available, you are debarred from debarred from filing writ is also a wrong assumption, because it has been held by Supreme Court also that just because alternate remedies are there under the respective act, it doesn't mean High Court will not entertain the writ. They can still entertain the writ, but it all depend upon case to case basis, because they have to see wherever fundamental rights are impact, or there is a violation of principle of natural justice, if there is a ultra virus to act rule notification you are challenging, because this can't be entertained by appellate authority or appellate tribunal, because if you are challenging an act, rule or notification to be ultra virus, how appellate things which are formed based on that statute only, because authority and appellate tribunal is formed from the GST Act itself. So they can't entertain this type of ultra virus act, rule or notification until and unless it has been discussed or judgment has been passed by a High Court or Supreme Court. Then in such situations you can even then also you can file the writ without going for appeal if this situation arises. So means what we are trying to say is we have to understand all this difference, we have to understand the rights and things available for us under the GST Act before we move on to our main discussion. So I'm just laying down the basic structure so that when we discuss, it will give you better insight why I discuss this and how we should go about it. Sir, you want to add anything on this?
Yeah, I think, yeah, you mentioned about, writ jurisdiction, Article 26, etc. The point which is relevant to note is generally court will not entertain writ unless it is a case where the fundamental rights are affected, or it is, you have some points on that when it is rejected.
No, sir.
I think so. Basically, breach of fundamental rights or violations of principles of natural justice or there's an excess of jurisdiction, or the virus of the statute or the act or the rules itself is challenged. Okay. Many a times people simply try to go to High Court to avoid pre-deposit. Please note that is not the way it is should be looked at. In other words, to put in a very simple word, what tribunal can do, what appellate authority can do, then those matters High Court will not take up in writ jurisdiction. What cannot be done, like ultra vires aspect of any statute, tribunal cannot decide because it is a creation of the statute. Tribunal is a creation of a statute. Appellate authority is a creation of a statute. So hence, there cannot be a scenario where what the appellate authority can do, the High Court will interfere and do it. So what is beyond the appellate authority's jurisdiction or tribunal jurisdiction is what the High Court will be admitting writ petition. So you have to convince the High Court that the aspect which you are pressing for before the High Court in a writ jurisdiction is something which is beyond the powers of the appellate authority or tribunal. In addition to that, you have to establish the violation of fundamental right, or the act is ultra vires, the rules are ultra vires, or there's a principles of natural justice is violated, or the officer has acted beyond jurisdiction. So these aspects has to be established to go for writ in the High Court. Ashika, you can continue.
So, with this foundation, we shall move forward to our discussion on first filing of appeal before the appellate authority. So, today we will be discussing about how an appeal to be filed before the appellate authority and who can file the appeal. And in our subsequent session, we are going to go ahead with our appeal filing before the appellate tribunal. So there we will be also taking you through practical demo. Here also we will be taking you through practical demo how you can file the appeal. So now the first thing is who can file an appeal before the appellate authority. If you see over here, any person who is aggrieved by the decision or order passed under the act by the adjudication authority may file an appeal to the appellate authority. So if you will see, the word which is written is any person. Unlike unregistered person, if you will find in multiple places under GST Act, person has been referred in a different manner. Like in a penalty section 122, it is written as taxable person. Some places it is written as registered person. But when it comes to appeal, they are saying any person can file an appeal. So it's not important that I need to be registered in order to file an appeal to appellate authority. There is an option on GST portal. I can apply for temporary registration and can file the appeal. Means the scenario, there has been a cases where unregistered person investigation has happened, and based on that investigation they have issued show cause notice and they didn't even consider the reply, passed the order. So being an unregistered person, how I will file the appeal? I can go to department, I can make an application to give me a temporary login, from where they will, in temporary login only, they will upload the order, and against that order I can file an appeal through that login. So what I'm trying to say, it's not just registered person, even a unregistered person can file an appeal. One. Second, there is a time limit to file an appeal. We need to file an appeal within 3 months from the date of communication of such order to such person. Now, if you see, it is written 3 months from date of communication to such person. Now, how this 3 months should be counted? Now, when we get a order, we get one detail order, one summary order DRC07. And multiple instance has been noticed that detail order is dated different, and DRC07, which is a summary order, it is dated different. It has also been noticed that the summary order has been issued after 1 month of the detail order, or it can also be a case it has been issued after we followed up with the officer that kindly issue me DRC07 so that I can file the appeal. Because until and unless they issued me DRC07, it will not appear on GST portal. And if it does not appear on GST portal, I won't be able to file the appeal online. So though law provide me, they have given an option that I can file the manual appeal where orders are not uploaded on GST portal, but it better to route through GST portal. Reason being, all those pre-deposit which we will be doing, when we win the case, refund we will be eligible. In case of manual appeal, when we win and you will go for filing your refund application for pre-deposit, their officer will face issue while sanctioning the refund. Reason being, they need one debit number. Without that debit number, they say they are not getting an option in their system to sanction me the refund. So that issue they were facing it. So it's better if order not got uploaded, you get it uploaded on GST portal and then file the appeal. Now coming back to again this communication. So if you will notice, when we file on a GST portal, which obviously Jagdish will be taking us through, over there date of communication get auto populated. It automatically show me the date of communication, and that date of communication is generated based on DRC07 dates. So it is based on DRC07. It may be a case your detailed order is dated April, DRC07 is May. Date of communication as per GST portal will automatically happen to be May. Now, normally, as everything is happening through GST portal, generally officers are not sending post or giving us the hard copy. It is all which is happening through GST portal. Basically, states are updating on GST portal, but center still they do the post and they share the hard copy. Maybe by hand you can take, or they do the post. So now this date of communication works very important, because when we file an appeal over there, officer, because we are also submitting the hard copy. So over there, officers are checking what is the date of communication mentioned and whether it is filed within 3 months or not. And there are many cases where the order has been issued on the portal, but people are not aware of it. Means updated on portal, they came to know when they got the call from the department, or they got the recovery notice from the department asking them to pay the demand against this order, as the time limit to file the appeal is long back over. Because in one of the our situation, what has happened is the SSC has closed down his business, already surrendered the GST registration. Okay. After surrender of GST registration, some order has been uploaded for 1 year. Now, SSA is completely blank, was not aware of issuance of such order. And as he rightly pointed out, as he have surrendered the GST registration, why he will check the GST portal after the surrender? So there was a show cause notice, order was passed, X party, and after 1 year, he received a call from the department stating that for recovery of the demand. Now the thing is that time limit got lapsed. Now what we should do? So thereafter, we obviously file an appeal before the authority explaining the situation, what has happened. And as we already discussed, appellate authority being a part of statute, they can't go beyond the statute. So as here within 3 months, they didn't consider our submission that communication happened only when I get the call from recovery officer. They rejected the appeal rejected my appeal and passed the appellate orders confirming the demand. Then we went to High Court. We file a writ, and then High Court consider the submission and allow us and restore the appeal. Now again we are before the appellate authority. So now appellate authority has to redecide the case. But what I'm trying to say is that this 3 months time limit, you need to be careful. Whenever you go log in for filing your R1 and 3B, please do check whether any notice or any order is appearing on a GST portal or not. There is a specific tab for notices and order. Please do check while filing your R1 and 3B. Make a habit of it so that you will not miss. Because this lapse of 3 months have a huge cost, because lower authority will not entertain, and you have to ultimately go to writ, which involve its own cost. So it's better you keep checking, keep track of it, so that this does not happen. So you want to add something? Okay. Now there are various type of appealable order. Now if we see, one order which we are already aware is a order under section 73 or 74. This order we are anyhow receiving right and left, because in earlier period 2A versus 3B and R1 versus 3B was the big challenge, big issue everybody was facing. So for most of the period we have got this type of notices under 73. Then there is a 74 cases also, where they have find out there has been a bogus billing or supply of goods without invoicing or invoice without supply of goods. So one is a demand order. Then you have various assessment order, which is related to non-registration, non-filing of return, summary assessment. So those types of order also we have. Then we also have e-way bills order, section 129 and 130, where there has been a violation. So there has been detention and seizure order or confiscation order. Now, not just demand assessment e-way bill, but we also have a registration order where the registration has been retrospective cancelled. Now we have to go and get it restored, and it can be prospective cancellation also, where also we have to apply for restoration. Then we have refund order, where unnecessary refunds has been denied without proper application of mind. So there are various type of appeal orders against which we file an appeal. Now, person who can file an appeal, I have already discussed that any person. And as we also discussed in our starting part, that even the department can also go for appeal. So it's not just SSC who has the right, but it's also the department who also has the right to file the appeal. Now, next question will arise, where should I file the appeal? Okay. So normally if we go to GST portal, in GST portal, we are already allotted under a jurisdiction. We already, if you will see, log in into GST portal, my profile, you open, over there you will get two jurisdiction, state jurisdiction, center jurisdiction. It will be specifically mentioned there. If you fall under state jurisdiction, it will be mentioned state. If you fall under center, it will show center. If you fall under both, there are cases where both state and center are mentioned, but one will be shown in red, which means which is your current jurisdiction. From there, you will come to know where is your jurisdiction. So when we file an appeal online, it get auto allotted to the jurisdiction it should go. My appeal will automatically go to that jurisdiction when we file online. But when we do manual is the question where we should file. So if you will see, order has one part called preamble. In that preamble, they write specifically where I have to file an appeal. So if you will read this, you will come to know who is your appellate authority with whom you have to file the appeal. And as we are aware that GST allow parallel proceeding, because state and center both has the power to do the adjudication or to do the proceeding against me. So when it is issued by a CGST officer, we will be filing the appeal before Central Appellate Authority. When it is issued by the state officer, my appeal will be going to the State Appellate Authority. So if you will see online, it is auto assigned. When it is a case of manual order, from the preamble you can check. Plus, at the end of the order, you will see who is the signing authority. If the signing authority is written as central tax, it means it's a central officer. If signing authority is written as a commercial taxes, then it's a state authority. You have to file an appeal before the state officer. Now, with this, let us understand the appeal filing procedure of first appeal. Definitely, Jagdeesh will be taking us through portal. This is just a gist which you should know. When we are filing an appeal, we are filing in APL 01 and we are filing it with the annexures to APL 01. If you will see, APL 01 has annexures where I have to write about how much is the demand amount, how much is the confirm amount, how much I am disputing, whether I want to be heard, whether I want personal hearing. Yes, those all details are captured. Who has passed the order? When was the date of communication? So all this will be forming part of it. Then in annexure also there are three other things: fact of the case, grounds of the appeal, and prayers. So with annexures to appeal, we attach what is my facts, what is my grounds of appeal, and prayer which I am putting. Plus, in appeal, if I am giving any supporting documents to substantiate my fact, those related documents also you need to attach. Another important thing comes is your authority letter, power of attorney, means where you declare who the CA or who the advocate you have appointed to represent you before the appellate authority. So these are the all the things is the process which involve and documents you should keep ready for filing the appeal on the GST portal or manually also. But with this, there is another set of documents which goes when we file with in hard copies, because portal has a limit. It can take up to 5 documents with 5 MB. So we generally submit hard copies with the other documents, because we have to also give the show cause notice, reply to show cause notice, then order, then the appeal file. Now, generally, when we are doing facts of the case drafting, it's just a summary gist we are giving that you should take care while drafting your facts of the case. So, what you should ensure when you are drafting your facts of the case, the first thing you should write about yourself, means about the SSC and about the business, means what the SSC is, a company, non-company, or and where it is place of business, what they are into, what business they do, manufacturer, trader, service provider. You should write little gist about the business. Then comes in facts of the case, we should chronologically specify the event which has happened. Now, chronologically specifying the event which has happened means how the case started and came to the issuance of order. So, how the case, it can be a case of scrutiny, means suppose ASMT 10 was issued. So, you will start with the fact that based on scrutiny of the return 2A versus 3B, it was said there is an excess availment. After that, what you would have done, you would have submitted your reply in ASMT 11. So you should write notice issue, reply submitted. Then you should write after ASMT 11, as they have not agreed, that's why show cause notice came. Then you should write about show cause notice issuance. Then you would have submitted the reply to show cause notice. You should specify that we submitted the reply on this date. After show cause notice reply, it may be a case you might have got personal hearing, you may not have got personal hearing. If you got the personal hearing, you write about it, you say that you went, visited, present the case. After the personal hearing, what will happen? Order will be passed. So then you have to write that order has been passed with such demand. Now you have to keep in mind that while writing this event, you don't need to be right in detail in this show cause notice. This is what has happened. You don't need to write overall allegation. You have to just give your summary of the event which has happened, so that officer will get to know how this case has come. It came from audit, it came from investigation, because this proceeding decide the gravity of the situation. See, if it came from 61, gravity is little low. But if it came from investigation, search and all, 67, then gravity is little high. Means case has something, means they would have got some information based on this has happened. But when you are writing facts of the case, you should limit it to the limited extent of what's the event happened instead of explaining each and everything in the facts of the case. So once you have write the facts of the case, then obviously what's the order finding you will write, and then you will say, I am being aggrieved, I am filing this appeal. The things which you have to make sure, you should not mix your facts with grounds. Now, grounds of appeal has a separate thing which you need to prepare and give with the appeal. So you should not mix it here. You should keep it simply to what has happened, and then you are filing an appeal. And all your defense, supporting, all should form part of your grounds of appeal. So this just keep in mind while drafting your facts of the case. Now, grounds of appeal. Now, here I have just taken technical one. Merit, based on merit, it will depend. Okay. Merit to merit, your grounds of appeal will keep on changing. But these are technical grounds of appeal with more or less people take in there while drafting. One is jurisdiction. They question that the person passing the authority is not the correct person to pass the order. Like there are cases where show cause notice and order means in the sense pre-adjudication proceeding. Like audit is done by that officer only. That officer only issue the show cause notice. That officer only issue the order. If same officer was there during pre-adjudication, in adjudication, will his opinion will change? Definitely, answer is no only. Very rare chance it will change. So those are jurisdiction you can counter that why I have been given the same person, which is also we say principle of natural justice. Then jurisdiction also come on subject matter jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction, monetary jurisdiction. So you have to check if any of this is there, then you have to write in your grounds of appeal. Then comes your limitation. Now, to as already discussed, that under GST, everything has a time period. So you have to check whether show cause notice was passed within the time limit or not, order issue within the time limit or not. Like for 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, there was an extension of time limit by way of section 168A, now which has been challenged before various high court, and in Gujarat high court it has been struck down also that this extension is not valid, which they are saying due to COVID they extended. So you can give that as a ground for limitation. Then if you were not provided your opportunity of being heard, means ex parte order, then you can write about that also in your appeal. Then comes your speaking. If you will see general discipline, there it is specifically mentioned that order which is passed by the officer should be speaking. When we say speaking, it means he has to write the reason why he is confirming the demand or why he is dropping the demand. He has to give the base, proper set to coming to the conclusion. So that is what we call speaking order. Like if you remember, Rajesh sir was saying that there are many a time they write, I agreed with the submission, I did not agree with the submission. One liner without discussing anything. Those are non-speaking order. So we should challenge those types of order, and we should write specifically in our grounds of appeal. If you are challenging any acts, rules, or notification, like earlier we were changing about that 2A is not the base, that just because in 2A ITC is not reflecting, ITC should not be disallowed because section 16(2) AA has come into picture from Jan 2022. Then the rules, if you will see, rule 36(4), that was also not there in the starting, it came afterward. So those all, if applicable, based on applicability on case to case, this grounds of appeal will be drafted. But these are basically technical grounds which people takes. So if it is applicable to, you can do, but main merit will depend upon the case or issue in hand. So that I can't put it over here. It will be dependent upon the issue involved. So as I already told that there is a time limit to file the appeal. Now this time limit to file the appeal is not only with the SSC, but it also with the department. For SSC, I have 3 plus 1. 3 is a normal time period which I have been provided. 1 month is the extended time limit I have been provided. So if I say in totality, SSC has 4 months to file the appeal. But if I file after 3 months, then I have to give the reason why I have filed belatedly. There may be any reason, medical reason, or not aware, whatever may be the scenario, you have to write why there has been a delay. It may be a case of pre-deposit also, financial crunch. So based on that, you have to, but if you are filing after 3 months, but within 4 months, then also appeal will be accepted subject to the proper reasoning you have given. Now department has but 6 month time limit. We have 3, they have 6 months, but extended period for both of us is same, 1 month. So they also need to file the appeal within time limit. Now, why we are discussing this is, as we told, department also can go for appeal. So if they go for appeal, you should check all these compliances, because based on technicality, instead of fighting on main merits, based on technicality also sometime appeal get rejected. If I don't file within time limit, my appeal will get rejected. Similarly for department also it will get rejected. So you should check whether department has also filed the things within the time limit or compliance, yes or no. So you can check, and accordingly you can take the action. Now, while filing an appeal, I have to make a pre-deposit to get my balance amount stay. So if it is a first level, I have to make 10% of the tax. And as I discussed, if it is only penalty, then I have to make 10% of the penalty as a pre-deposit. And when I am going for the second stage, appellate tribunal, then I have to make additional 10% as a pre-deposit, so that this balance amount gets stay. Otherwise, they can initiate the recovery proceeding. Now, another thing is addition of grounds. Okay. Now we file an appeal. We presented our grounds of appeal. Now, suppose we missed out one ground to be added. Okay. So can we add this ground now while at the time of presenting before the officer? Now, in appellate authority, there has been specific provision that I can add the grounds, even though it is not mentioned in my grounds of appeal while filing the appeal. But I have to show that it was done not willfully or unreasonable. It was means a genuine mistake that I have missed out. But I have to show that. And plus, I have to show that facts relating to the same is already available. I missed out to write my ground, but facts relating to that I have already specified in my appeal. But I can't submit any new facts. Now I can't comes up with the new facts in the at the time of personal hearing. But the facts which are already there, I can present one grounds of appeal on that basis. Now, the order which is passed by appeal officer, there can be 3 scenarios. Appellate authority either can confirm the demand made by adjudicating authority, or it can modify, means it can decrease the demand from the adjudication order, or it can annul, means it can set aside the whole adjudication order, but it cannot remand back the to the adjudication order. As I already discussed, it is only with appellate tribunal. So they have 3 options. They can confirm, modify, or annul. Now, this is another power which is there with appellate authority, where they can issue me a show cause notice. Okay, so what has happened is, in one of the case, the SEC was a tour operator. Now, in their case, they filed their GST return very belatedly, means after 3 months, 6 months. So, being an assessment of non-filer, notice was issued, order was also passed because they didn't file the return. After the order is passed, they have filed the GST return. So as now the adjudication order officer said, I don't have any power. You go and file the appeal. Even though I have filed the return, I can't do anything. Means I can't help you out. So we filed an appeal before the appellate authority. Now, appellate authority, after seeing the order and checking that we have already filed the appeal, he dropped the order. He set aside the adjudication order. But one more thing he noticed, that being a tour operator service provider, ITC is not eligible, he said, because tour operator comes with 5% without ITC. And he noticed there were few transactions where they have opted for 5%, but he was able to see the ITC is also there. Now you have to see that this is not a part of dispute in the adjudication proceeding or in my appeal, grounds of appeal. There was no dispute relating to this. But this is what the appellate authority noticed. Based on this discrepancy, he issued a separate show cause notice. He can't club it with that proceeding. He issued a separate notice to asking us to say why ITC should not be disallowed. So this is the one power, another power which has been given to appellate authority. Now, why I am discussing here is you need to be careful while presenting your case, that how you should write your grounds of appeal, or what to what extent you should write or limit yourself. Sometimes writing more may turn against you also. So while deciding, you have to remember that appellate authority under GST have been given one more power. So he should not exercise this power due to something which should not have come to highlight has come. So that need to be taken care. Sir, you want to add something?
I think you're explaining in very detailed, so I don't want to interfere. So I think you are going in very much detail. So fine, you can continue. Nothing more to add from my side.
Okay, sir. This appeal procedure and first stage we have already
I
discussed.
think
So
you can just skip that because there's one picture also next, I think.
So now, so with this, we came for our base discussion of appeal procedure of the first appeal. Now, Jagdish, handing over to you to take us through the GST portal for appeal filing before the appellate authority.
Yeah. Okay. Is my screen visible now?
Yeah, yeah.
So to check out jurisdiction, whether we are falling under state or center, you just go to my profile. And you can see here the center jurisdiction and state jurisdiction. Here you can see the jurisdictional office. So for this taxpayer, he is falling under the center. I mean, state CBI is he's falling under center. That's the reason here it mentioned as a jurisdictional office. If it is a state, the same way it will mention as a jurisdictional office. So by this we can identify under whom we are falling under, whether state or center. So now going on to so So for seeing any notices issued against us, you can go to user services. Here you can see the view notices and orders. Recently it got changed. Earlier you can find the notices in two sections: additional notices and orders and notices and orders. Now both the sections got meshed. Under view notices and orders, you can find all when notices, orders, communication, all the communication from the department you can find here. If you see here, uh, recently on December, they have issued one order. Before that, you can also find the DRC01 showcase notice. If I want to see here, by clicking here, you can see the notice DRC01 has issued, and for that reply has been provided, and post to that they have passed the order OIO. DRC07, you can see the order, final order passed by the adjudication authority. So against this, we have to file the appeal. So on 19/12/2025, they have passed the order. So within the 3 months, as Ashika said, we have to file the order. So on or before this 19th of this one, we have to file the appeal against it. So copy this. Now we'll see how to file an appeal against this order. Copy this order number and go to the services. Under user services, you can see the my applications. Click that. And in the application type, you can see the appeal to appellate authority. So just by clicking that, you just select new application. So here you can see the various types of orders: assessment order, enforcement order, LUT order, assessment non-demand order, registration. The various types of orders you can find here. Against this, we can find file an appeal. So in our case, it's a demand order. Selecting that and paste the order number here. So this order is pertaining to only single financial year. So I am selecting it now. Now click on search. So now you can see here all the details from the order fetch here. The order date is 19/12/2025 and demand ID is this, and the communication is 19/12/2025. In this case, both the order date and the communication date is same. In some cases, the date of communication might be different. They have signed the order on 19. They might have uploaded on some other date like 22. So you will have an option to change this order. I can put the 22 as a date. Okay. Yeah. So this date you can change it. The actual date of communication you mention it. And also next to that, you have to categorize your dispute. If it is, in my case, it is related to incorrect determination of liability. So I am selecting incorrect determination of liability and click on add. If there is multiple issues, you can select the multiple issues from the list of these. If your issue is other than this, you can select the others and you can write the reason filing an appeal. Okay. So after that, for filing an appeal, you need to make the pre-deposit of 10%, right? So further, you can find here dispute amount or payment details. You just click here for making pre-deposit. Here you can see a disputed amount under dispute. You can see here all zeros, but if you go down, you can find the amount of demand created and admitted. You can see here this is the amount of demand created in the DRC07. So by from order, all the details were fetched. So if you accept anything, you what are all the amount you want to dispute, you just put here. So here I am disputing the entire amount. Just I am entering the figure, and let's say I'm accepting this um, 534,144. In that case, I no need to enter the full amount, and also the penalty I am disputing it. So after entering that, you can see here amount of demand admitted. Automatically, here the amount got populated, and the pre-deposit also is automatically computing details of payment required, details of payment admitted, and amount of the pre-deposit. Here under IGST, you have to select the place of supply, otherwise it will not take it. Already it's you have to enter the disputed amount. So now got computed. So you can see here details of amount payable towards admitted and pre-deposit. Pre-deposit amount already computed automatically. Whatever the amount we disputed on that 10% has been computed by the portal itself. And whatever the amount I admitted, that also I need to pay it now, because here I have not mentioned under disputed detail. That's the reason portal has automatically taken it as an admitted amount. So it is asking me to pay this admitted amount as well as the pre-deposit amount. Unless if I make the payment of this amount, uh, portal will not allow me to file an appeal. Okay. So after by clicking this utilize ITC or cash, amount will get debited from the cash ledger or credit ledger, as the case may be. So for making pre-deposit, you can utilize the credit ledger balance also. Okay. For the you can see here the APL01 format. If you want, you can download it from here. In the same template, you need to prepare in that APL01. You will find the facts, Annexure 1 as facts, Annexure 2 grounds, and Annexure 3 prayer, and all that in the same format. You need to prepare it. You can see here, this is how the APL01 looks. In this format, you have to prepare the APL01 file and upload it here. And there is one restriction in this: it should not be more than 5 MB. Okay. So if there is any supporting documents or case laws or some other evidences you want to file along with the APL01, you can attach it here. Maximum files you can upload it here are 4, and each file size restriction is 5 MB. Okay. After filling all these, you have to verify it and just save and proceed to file and submit it. That's it. This is how you have to file an appeal in the portal. Similarly, you can file the rectification order also the same way. In the services, you go to the user services, you can find the my applications. You just click on my applications, and in the application type you select the application for rectification of order. Okay. Just by selecting new application, the process is same. Here the order, all the orders will get it in the drop down. You select the order, the same order. So already it is in the saved application. That's the reason it is showing. So because I saved it in the appeal, that's the reason portal is not allowing me to file a rectification against it. Now I have deleted that. So now. So you just select that order, rectification application is under process. Okay. So by selecting here, all the details from the order will get fetched here. So this is how you can file the rectification request. So this is all about the filing appeal in the GST portal. Whereas coming to the second appeal, there is a separate portal to file an appeal before the appellate tribunal, GST that we will discuss in the next session in detail, how to file the appeal in the second level, that is against the OIA. So this is from my end.
Jagdish, one more
Yes.
thing. Go to
Yes.
services,
Yeah.
user service, appeal.
Which one?
My application, appeal.
Oh, okay. My
Appeal
application.
to appellate
Yeah.
authority.
Okay. Yes.
Come to order type.
Yes.
So you would be able to see over there, it is also written one more thing, is the order pertain to multiple financial year. There are cases for 2 to 3 years together, officers are issuing the order. So if it is in one order, multiple financial year, you have to select yes, and accordingly you have to proceed further. Now, when Jagdish took you forward, take any of the order and do now.
Just a second. Yes.
Here,
So,
your is no, na?
yeah, in this case, it is no. I will select the yes.
Okay.
So already it is saying that it is related to only 1 year.
Because when officer is uploading, they are uploading multiple financial year with yes, and you will get the data independently for each year in the means you select no and come forward, means go forward. Next. So come down. If you click on disputed amount and payment detail, now here when you will see amount of demand created and admitted, there it will show year wise. So you need to be careful while filing the details in the appeal. One. Second, there can be a case where we discuss you would have already made the payment but it is not appropriated in the order or it may not be considered while passing the order or payment may be made under protest. Now you will say if I will go with the demand only created, I will end up paying more than pre-deposit required because DRC03 you have already done at the time of show cause notice or before show cause notice under pressure. So that payment which is already done, again this case, you can use it as a pre-deposit. So how you can use it is again my application, user service, my application. So over there is one form called 3A. So by clicking on this, you can give your DRC03 details. It will auto populate the moment you will give. When you will come down, here you can give the order number against which you want to adjust it. The moment you will execute this DRC03A, sorry, payment PMT03A, it will get auto set and your pre-deposit amount will keep on reducing or it may get to zero if your DRC03 is more than 10%. So that also you have to take care. Now another scenario, like he took you through okay, this is also one ledger, electronic liability ledger. It is comes under services ledger. Here also you can see how much is the demand created, how much adjustment has happened against your order. All will be visible over here. So that also you can check it.
So if you adjust using DRC03A against this demand ID, then against this demand it will get set off and the balance will only be shown. And also in the appeal disputed amount, it will show as a payment. Yes. We have adjusted that with the 3A automatically in the payment this thing details payment required, it will that amount will get reduced and the balance amount only will be shown here. Yes.
And like he take you through rectification application, there can be a case where you have filed the rectification application, but your rectification application is still under process. Means at the time when you are filing the appeal, it has not been done. One, or it can be a case of rectification application rejected. Both scenario is can happen. So if rectification application is under process while filing an appeal, like we discussed, one part of annexure is fact of the case. In fact of the case, you can specify that this is what the error you notice and you have filed the rectification which is under process, and with the appeal set you can include the rectification application. There may be a case rectification rejected, then also you can write in your facts of the case that this was the application done which got rejected but it need to be rectified, because that also you need to be put as grounds of appeal and facts of the case while drafting. because officer will not be knowing until and unless you put it everything on record. And again, you have to enclose rectification application with the appeal set while submitting to the officer. So this is all from our side with respect to first GST appeal. But if anybody has any query, they can either put it in chat box or they can unmute and ask.
I think, yeah, it was a good presentation, both from a legal and practical perspective, and also with the portal purview of it, preview of it. I think from the GST perspective, we have completed. Any questions from the our participants? You can post it in the chat box. Otherwise, I think Venu is waiting to come out with his technology updation session. I think this appellate it has become more like theoretical aspect, because they would have not experienced much yet. So probably when they come across these things, they will be having these questions. Anyhow, they are free to get back to us whenever they have issues on these aspects. I think when over to you.
Right. Thank you.
So some question came. Ashika, question for you.
I got ASMT 10 for which I want to get time extension online. Please guide. So for ASMT 10, anyhow, there is a 30 days time limit, but you have to see how much is which year you are talking about. Here it's not visible, but I am assuming it is financial year 22-23, because as of now 22-23 cases are going on. So due date to issue show cause notice is 30th September. So you have good time. You can ask the officer to give you time, because even though law provide 30 days, but here the thing is that they are looking from the point of show cause notice issuance. So you can go ahead and file for extension based on that.
And the question is very specific, Ashika. How do I ask extension online? Is there a mechanism?
Online. Okay, I missed. Online, there is no option. You have to go and personally request the officer and submit the letter.
Now, portal is also giving adjournment request
For
option.
ASMT 10 also it is.
ASMT 10 also, sir, for SCN and ASMT 10.
Yeah.
There
That
you
is
can
what is
try.
a specific question. So you can ask for adjournment.
Yes.
ASMT 10 generally will not have hearing, but you can use that portal for seeking adjournment. Okay. Any other question?
So this only tells.
Right. I think Venu over for you.
Yeah, that's what this only tells, that nothing is permanent in GST. You didn't see adjournment yesterday, now you are seeing adjournment option.
Yeah. Some question came. What if GST filed?
Incorrectly appeal. Like
What is the
client A's grounds of appeal, everything, it's a copy paste error. So error is human. So now I filed wrongly. So what do I do? Maybe in a very polite way, Srinivasara is asking.
Okay. No. The thing is, always you have see the APL 1, that preliminary format, where you fill the table and essence of that you already filed. But the attachment of grounds of appeal, facts of the case, there is an error. You can always say it is a mistake happened, and obviously you can file a manual thing, or there's no mechanism for then you have to file an additional application for additional thing by paying whatever the fees on that, and push that correct application or the correct grounds of appeal technically. Otherwise, there's no mechanism for
Right.
Question, Venu.
So I just want to add one more subject again, food for thought. The last portion Ashika has shown on the website about clubbing of multiple periods and order. Now we have judgments which says that it is not permitted. How many can go to High Court? This is a different story. It's like the recent judgment I can recollect is of Milrock Good Earth, which is of Bombay High Court judgment, Goa bench, where the officer was adventurous. The notice was issued from under section 74A. We will be yet coming into 74A, but the officer had gone up to starting from 1718 and he has done it. Now the good part of it is there are at least 2 years the time limitation has completed. Now that became a good ground for the SSC to go and challenge. Now because of that, the entire order got quashed and the government clearly said, look, 39 is East tax period, 44 is an annual return, which is quad tax periods combination of that periods. Then that means the financial year is linked to the tax periods in that, so it could not be issued. Now, there are other judgments, including in Karnataka High Court also, the Bangalore Golf Club has followed the similar aspect, right? So, the GST and portal is one, GST law is another. Knowing how the portal works, I will say equally important. So which means being with me and being with Rajesh sir is always important. So someone who talks law, someone who talks from the portal perspective is more important. Yeah. But this, we will come to the technical side of it, which is the technology thing which I wanted to talk about Power Query. And let me share the Excel file for the ease. So I wanted an hour's time and I got 15 minutes. I have no complaints about it. At the same time, don't worry. Whatever you were supposed to do parallelly, you will be doing, and the copy of this presentation you will get an access to. I will be sharing all the files, whatever I am doing live with you. So you will completely get an access of it. Let me just open the file and share with you. All right, so let's start with a bank statement which is messy. Okay, hope the file is visible, and let me share the file also in the chat. Oh, I cannot. Okay, just because it is in use, let me close and let me try and send it. Yeah. Okay, I've sent a file in the Excel. You can download the file. Now, I've just given a simple bank statement which is there, which is here. Okay. What we are going to discuss in today's session is the power of the Power Queries. People with macros, Excel knowledge, they feel that, okay, they're great. MScript is the new Microsoft scripting language which has come. That is actually going to help you in automating, simplifying various things. It is a small journey to start with, but I want people to experience the power of it. Now, this is a typical bank statement that you would download and you will see a whole set of information that would be there. You want to do it for a simple, better way that, okay, I want to automate stuff and I want to do things better, right? I will add certain columns. Now, even if you have 10,000 lines, it is going to do it. In the interest of time, I will keep sharing you the content. You can work with me. If you are older version of Excel, it wouldn't work, but all the versions, you always go to data tab, go to get data, and from the file, you can get various information. In fact, click on get data preview. You will actually see host of the sources where the information can be come into Excel. It could be simple Excel workbook folders or the thing, MySQL, SAP HANA, Azure, right? Or it could be from Salesforce. It could be anything, right? Salesforce report or from a web API. I'll be showing a couple of things today for ease of yours. So let's start with the Excel workbook, and I'm going to import this messy statement. The moment I do it, you will get a pop-up box asking that, do you want to import this? I am selecting bank statement, and you can click on transform data. Jagadish, is this transform data visible on the screen?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
When I click on the transform data, you will get a new Power Query window. Is the Power Query window visible, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Those who want to work, you can work along with me. I'll quickly show. First and foremost thing you always have to do whenever you're importing the data, look at the thing. If there is the existing data has a headers and it is not showing up, you can always say my data as headers. Use first row as headers. You can always say, so that it gets promoted as headers. Look at this. This is the type. This is in date format. This is in a text format. This is in numbers. Like you want to change it to whole number, you can say as whole number. You want to change it to currency, you can set into currency. It's like you can set your data type. Whenever you're doing a Power Query import, doing this is very much important. Now, this is one simple the bank statement. And what are we going to do with this bank statement? Let's have a long set of information. First and foremost, let us have the debit credit. Let's first transform. So whenever you're finding this null, you can select this, right click, you can say replace value. Whatever the values are there, I want to replace value. What do you want to replace? Null with 0. And you can see right side, it has some replaced value. You can automatically see a formula of that coming here. I will do the same thing here, replace value, and I will say null with 0. So that everything has become now into the number format. Now let's start adding a column and get the amount. Let's get the amount, debit, credit, the absolute amount. So I am adding. So what are we doing? We are now transforming the simple bank statement into a usable format. Yeah. So I am going to add a column. Under the add column, I am saying a custom column. I will say amount as my thing, and we will give a formula. What's the formula? If, all right, if debit, right? So if this is not 0, so that means it is value which I want to take, then I will say minus debit. If it is then automatically else I will say credit, right? And I am saying okay. So automatically now you can see there is a next column that got added. Now for the interest of the members, let me just put it in the chat. Yeah, this is the formula that I have used. So as I've typed, I copied it. So now you can automatically see amount that got in minus 1200 minus 5000 25,000. Now you may say that I can do this in Excel with a formula. Now the power of the Power Query is like I'm doing multiple steps, and you can see the steps are getting applied on the right side. Now I want to see whether it is a receipt or payment, whether it is a receipt or a payment. Yeah, I can add one more column. So I will say type, and I've just given a formula, and it said whether it is receipt or a payment. I am adding it. So now automatically that gets added to the Excel file. You can parallelly work, so because that's why I'm sharing you. Now I have the data on the left side. If you can see, there is a UPI, ATM, NEFT. So I want to understand what is my mode of this transaction. What is the mode of the transaction? So I can again add, extract the data from this. So I will add one more column. I can go column from examples. Okay. I can say from this column, I can do column from examples, and I am from this selection. I can type this as UPI. All right. So it will automatically, this is similar to your Control E, or I will type ATM, NEFT. Now, can you see automatically this is updated? This is like, I will say NEFT. I am training the model. Okay, this is UPI. So it will automatically understand and apply it. I can say okay. So I will change the heading as thing, or I can do it with a formula also. I can just give a formula. I've just written a formula for the ease of yours. I will say a new column, and I will say mode. All right, it's a mode of thing. And if the text is starting with UPI, then UPI, let's say I will say for the ease UPI mode, ATM transaction. I can just give any name of it. So I can do that, right? So I can give either a formula, or I can do a flash fill feature, right? Now look at the power of this. I have done this, and let me go to home, and I will hit this close and load. So automatically the data has come. Why is it not going? Yeah. So can you see the simple data? This is now categorized. I can start working more with this, the classification of payment receipt. So getting a bank statement, working on a bank statement, especially for the purpose of income tax return filing or your own personal statement you want to analyze, you can write a simple query and do. You can also use delimiter. The advantage of Power Query is a large set of data can be handled in a simple and smooth way. Yeah. Now let's go to another aspect, right? So let me close this, and sorry, let me open. All right. So let me share another file. Let's do unpivot of the data. Open. Not. Why am I unable to share? Okay. So I've shared you one more file, which is unpivot. Now let me delete this, Now you might have situations where, like, I'm just giving you a simple, you can think of your sales by customer month over month or the payroll sheet. You have received the data in this format. I want to make it into a tabular format. I want to make the data into a tabular format. So if I want to, I'm unable to send it. Let me just try sending it once again. Yeah. So the file is sent. All right. So let's delete the sheets. Now, whenever you have data, something like this, and you want to work. So let's pivot and unpivot. How do I do it? So go to data again, as usual, get data from an Excel file. Let me go get data from the Excel workbook and unpivot the Excel. It's like working on Power Queries, knowing Power Queries is the next thing everyone has to strive. So this is an Excel file. Always hit this transform data. So transform your data. So the data is getting loaded into an Excel file. So what do you want? You want to transform your data. Here is your transform data. Okay. Yeah. In fact, good thing if you see this data, right? In this data, you don't have the headers, but actually the first row is the header. You can use this first row as header. Automatically, you're promoting the values going into there. Yeah. So it has automatically done this. Now let's go to the transform. And in the transform, let's hide this. Yeah. So in the transform, now these are my values. I want against April, May, June, July, the amount coming. So you can select all this data, April to March data that I have. You can see this button, unpivot columns, hit this unpivot columns. So automatically now it has transformed. So it has retained the original nature and transformed. Let's go and hit this close and load. So you got the data. Now let's look at this. I have 135 lines and 12 months. So which means 135 into 12, 1620 lines has come. So now the advantage of this, you can easily apply. So now let's say this is not in date form. Sorry. You can transform there, or you can apply a transformation. So I'll say this month. So this data, I can now apply a simple pivots. So in the pivot, you can do whatever the change that you want to do. So I can add the month into my columns. Let me get my values and my nature of group and my column. So you can automatically see the data, whatever the values that you want to see, however you want to see, you can get the values. I can get the quarter by information. So something which was in a format where you were unable to use, suddenly you were able to use the data. So power of Power Queries is not just working on the files, enhancing it. It can also club and merge into one method. This is the next power which I want to show you on the Power Query, right? The next thing which I want to show on the Power Query is getting data from an external files. Like, it's not that you will be there at one place. You can get the data from an external files. Let's merge the data and see. How do we merge the files? All right, let's get you one. Okay, so let me share one more file to you. Let's say one file. So I've sent you one file. Let me delete the files. Okay. So now you could be in a situation where you have the sales data month over month. You have trial balance month over month, or you have branch 1, branch 2, branch 3 data. You can also merge the data. So what I am doing, I am just changing this trial balance branch 1. I'm just copying and creating multiple files. So I am changing trial balance branch 1 as, let's say, branch 2. And I am saying this as branch 3. I'm just sharing 3 different things. Yeah. So in your Excel, you can also get data from an external files, automatically merge. So I will say data, get data from a folder. Now instead of, okay, I'll be taking another 5 more minutes so instead of a file, I will now take from a folder. And I want to get data from, this is the folder. So get the data from this folder. And I'm saying, okay. So now it has analyzed that there are 3 files in this folder. I said, perfect. Now what do you want to do? Do you want to combine and load? I will say combine and transform. I want to show you what are all the features that exist. Now you can say, what would be your sample? Should be first file, second file. What is that you want to take? You can choose any of the file as a sample. Files can have like trial balance 1, trial balance 2. So you can have any of the data. I will say first file. You can have tables. You can take the data from tables. However, what is important is I want you to pay attention to the left corner. You can see skip files with errors. This is important. If you select it, if in the same folder some junk data comes, it will not react. Let's say I am saying, okay, now you have seen the power of transformation. You will have an option to do the changing, replacing the values, whatever the queries that you want to write. You can actually do it here. In the interest of time, I am not doing, let's say I'll only do one replace values. I want this .xlsx, the file name. I don't want. So I'm just replacing that value. I'm saying close and load. Yeah. Now you can, let me apply in the drop down. You can see trial balance branch 1, branch 2, branch 3 has come. Now tomorrow a data which is coming, let's say this is a data generating from the different system. Now, let's say you have received the data from the head office. I am putting as Assam branch, right? So you got one more data into this. All that you will do is you will just do a right click and refresh. It will automatically read those files and update it. You can see now in the drop down, automatically Assam branch has come. And the beauty of it, if you have a, let's say, a junk data which is loaded, okay, I have some file, okay, which is nothing relevant to this. I am loading this file here, okay. The data can have some erroneous information. Even when I do a refresh, it will only pick the files which are values relevant. It will not take a file where the values are irrelevant. So that means Power Query can expand the data, do modification, can crush it and make it into pivot, or can get the data from different files. That's the beauty of it. The another feature which I want to show you is it can just get the data from elsewhere. Now, here is one trial balance. Okay, so let's say, let me delete this. Let me go to my PNL. Let me just delete everything. Okay, so now you can see there is, I've just saved. I'm saving the file. There is no data. Here there is no files. It can also get the data from an external source, right? Let me refresh this. It will now connect to the Zoho. I have written the query on this. So you can see like advanced tax. Let me just go to, here is the Zoho which I have opened for you. And let's go with this word advanced tax. Yeah. Can you see this 10,800 advanced tax? It had picked and given that number here. That means values can come from anywhere. So you have prepared your financials. All that I'll do is come and refresh it. So boom, everything is ready. So what did I do? All that I have done is I have called the data from the external source. I have called, you can go to the query, edit query. So you will see the query is being made from the external source. So you can see there is an access token. So access token has been taken from, let me go to, you can see there is a query which is written. I've said go to zohobooks.com, get an authentication, and I have gone and got the access query and just pinged what is your trial balance for this organization ID. You will find there is an organization ID. For the organization ID, you will have the, on this URL I have written, and in the query I have said that this is my token and get me the results. You can see the response has come, and I've just converted this result into a table. So on the right side, you can actually see whatever I have done, all the steps. I've converted the value into a table and expanded it. You got the trial balance into it. So getting data from any source is also possible. So the power of the Power Queries is now beyond Excel. It's just not in the Excel. It is more to do with automating whatever you are doing. So the easiest or the best thing that you need to do is asking, okay, this is what I am doing. What is the one thing that I need to add so that this work of my Excel, which I am doing repeatedly in a routine manner, the power gets enhanced? That's the question that you need to ask. And in the 100th session of ours, my interest is to include power in your finance activities. That is where I have chosen Power Query. And this is just the beginning. What we have seen is 1% of the power of the Power Queries. And if you start using it, your efficiency is going to go is like multifold. And I'll give you simple examples. You want to do BRS, you want to do GST or 2B basis purchase reco. Ideally, I would suggest use tools like in our office, we use GST Zen. Likewise, you should use a cloud-based application, but something you have a data and you want to do a simple automation at your end, you will be able to do it using those Power Queries. Yeah. Friends, with this, we have come to end. I have shared you the Excels that we have used, and you will get a recording of this session. Once after this is done, Stephen is going to send you the feedback form. Once you submit the feedback, you will get a link to download the presentation and again the recording of the session, where you will get an access to. And any given point of time, you think that, okay, you are there and you are kind of nearing and something is lost, you should get in touch with an expert. And doing it is only a way for you to know it. Once you get an idea that yes, this is done, you should get engaged with firms like us and say that, how do I automate the entire journey of my finance process? This is something that you need to start exploring, and how you will scale up in your journey of the automation. With this, we have come to end of today's session. Thank you so much for being there, being hooked with us. And special thanks to Ashika, Rajesh, Jagadeesh, and Stephen for holding the session. Any questions to anyone? All right. Jagadeesh, anything you would like to add?
No, sir.
Good. Okay. So the whole Excel, everything went, you were able to see all the steps, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for many, it would definitely go above the head. It would look like a bouncer because it's the first time. I do it day in, day out. So it is like back of the envelope. So it's just that it needs practice. That's all I will say. And this will elevate your performance. So on this note, we can say goodbye and see you in the next session. Next session, we will be talking on year-end activities. We'll try doing the next session early. March returns before you file, how you will have to take care of the certain activities so that your liabilities in GST or 99C is little reduced, and you are able to handle things in a easier and better way. That is what we are going to address. Yeah. Stephen, can we conclude?
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Good day.